So I want to try to talk about a few things, but basically I'm going to put a link to this in the description so you can come watch it yourself. Um, Basically, Bran the Blessed, or Blessed, is a giant and king of Britain in Welsh mythology. And, he has a sister named Branwen. And, Bran means raven, and so like Branwen would be white raven, his sister, which is like the black sun and the white sun. And basically, I found this section really interesting, and I wanted to share it with you.
The king first appears in creation that link the still current practice of keeping ravens at the Tower of London under the care of yeoman warder Raven Master with this story of Bran, whose name means raven. Several scholars have noted similarities between Bran the Blessed and the Arthurian character the Fisher King, the keeper of the Holy Grail. The Fisher King first appears in creation that Troyes' 12th century French romance Perceval. The story of the Grail. He has been dealt a mortal wound in the leg but stays alive in his mystical castle due to the effects of the Grail, waiting to be healed by Percival. The later author who took up the story, Robert Braun, describes the history of the Grail in ancient times and says the first Fisher King was a man called Braun. Additionally, the Welsh story Peredur, son of Ephraim, a version.
So I just wanted to pause it there. We hear that in the original story of the Fisher King that his name was actually Braun. And it's like Satan says, there's no coincidences. So like the last person we heard to have the Spear of Destiny was Hitler, and Hitler's from Brno, Hungary, and he was married to Eva Braun. And now Satan, Mark Braun, has the mythical Spear of Destiny, and the fate of the world is in his hands. And so there was that connection to the white sun and the black sun, and there's also this connection to the head and the people needing the head to protect them. And even in the Bible, we hear about the body of Christ and the head, which is Christ. But the truth is, it's the body of the Antichrist and the head of the Antichrist. And the head is Satan himself, because he was chosen. And, the body of the Antichrist in this case are all of us, the family, the blood family of the kingdom of heaven. So I found it really fascinating that already the word Bran, is similar to Braun, but in hearing about the history of the Fisher King, you find out that he was originally referred to as Braun. Now, I just want to replay that part again so you can hear it, and you can look into it further if you want, but I did notice that there was a movie made called The Fisher King, and I just have this feeling that, and look, directed by the same person was Monty Python and the Holy Grail. So I'm pretty sure there's something interesting there. It's just where they rub the truth in our faces, but we couldn't see it until we posted our blood over our intent, because then we were given the eyes to see. It's like taking the red pill. So we have the Fisher King. In Arthurian legend, the Fisher King, or the Wounded King, is the last in a long line charged with keeping the Holy Grail. And see, that's interesting as well. The first will be last and the last will be first. He is the last in a long line charged with keeping the Holy Grail. Versions of the story vary widely, but he is always wounded in the legs or groin and incapable of moving on his own. And I just want to say that maybe some of the story is mysterious and maybe we're all going to learn it, but indeed, Mark Braun was hurt. Not only did he give his blood selflessly for many, many years, gallons and gallons, but he was also literally wounded. And it says in the Fisher King legends, he becomes impotent and unable to perform his task, and he also becomes unable to father or support a next generation to carry on after his death. And again, it says that there's many variations. And really what this would be saying is that he would need to have a son, right? Impotence is not a problem unless you need to have a child. And so this even goes back to the other stories, you know, like if you want to make it be Roman, because really it's all the same story but different pantheons, right? So if it was Roman, you have Mars and Venus who create the sun, Eros, you know, but you could look at that as, you know, however you want to name those people. If you want to name them Ares and Aphrodite, you can do that. So it's just really interesting and probably worth looking into deeper about the Fisher King's name being Braun. And let's see. Knights travel for many lands to heal the Fisher King, but only the chosen can accomplish the feat. You know, you keep finding that in stories as well. Like, you know, Cinderella. I mean, that one just always comes to mind. It's like all of these knights are trying to heal the wounded king. Well, in this case, this is the king that was healed, and because, meaning Satan, so Satan was healed, and thereby we are all healed. So it's just like everything is in reverse, but you have to be able to figure out the truth, right? So these knights are traveling to try to heal him, and it's just like in Cinderella, you know, there is the slipper, and every maiden in the kingdom, everybody knows this, tries to fit that slipper. They rub oil on their feet, they do whatever they can. It's kind of like a joke, you know, with people who love that story and are into those movies, that Anastasia and Drizella, as well as all of the eligible maidens of the kingdom, young and old, they all want to fit that shoe, but only Cinderella fits that shoe. And my point of that is, I mean, I'm not saying that the king is Cinderella, I'm saying it's the same theme. We see these themes in literature and movies. It's the same story over and over again. So it says, many works have two wounded Grail kings who live in the same castle, a father and son, or it could be grandfather and grandson. The more seriously wounded father stays in the castle, sustained by the Grail alone, while the more active son can meet with guests and go fishing. For the purposes of clarity in the remainder of this article, where both appear, the father will be called the wounded king and the son the Fisher King. So that's also interesting as well, because Satan is here as one with and an extension of the grand architect. So you have that going, right? And then if somehow this story where the Fisher King was originally Braun is related somehow down the line to the great King Bran, then it makes sense that he had a sister named right after him, Branwen. So we have the white son and the black son. But now we see this father, right? It could be grandfather and grandson, or father and son. So we keep seeing this theme of father and son. But really the point of this, and I made it much longer than I meant to, but you know, the point of this is that this would be something really cool for maybe me or anyone to look into, about the Fisher King's name being Braun. And he is the last in a long line charged with keeping the Holy Grail. You see, it's like Satan said, no one will enter this house of God before him. Okay? And it is through him and because of him that we are able to enter. And you know, everyone's thinking that Jesus is going to save them, but the truth is it's the antichrist who has the mythical spear of destiny. So you want to put your blood over your intent, and only the devil hides his intent. Who doesn't want heaven on earth? So, you know, putting your blood into the ether is placing the philosopher's stone onto the altar in between the worlds and showing your creator proof of life, which protects your life until the time of the Grail, and it removes your name from the book of death and adds it to the book of life. So I would really like to play this section again so you can hear it. I'll put a link to this video, and then you can really go anywhere from there, but I found it really fascinating. I was just like, wow, this is amazing. So let's start about right here.
Raven. Several scholars have noted similarities between Bran the Blessed and the Arthurian character the Fisher King, the keeper of the Holy Grail. The Fisher King first appears in Creation de Troyes' 12th century French romance Perceval. The story of the Grail. He has been dealt a mortal wound in the leg but stays alive in his mystical castle due to the effects of the Grail, waiting to be healed by Percival. The later author who took up the story, Robert de Braun, describes the history of the Grail in ancient times and says the first Fisher King was a man called Braun. Additionally, the Welsh story Peredur, son of Efrog, a version of the Percival story with several striking deviations, features the hero visiting a mysterious castle, but he does not find the Grail there, but rather a severed human head. Additionally, some works attribute to the Grail the power to restore the fallen, making it somewhat similar to Bran's cauldron. Others have identified Bendigeid from with the Irish hero Bran MacFebble. John T. Koch proposes a number of parallels between the mythological Bendigeid and the historical Celtic chieftain Brennus, who invaded the Balkans in the 3rd century BC.
Okay, so basically, you know, even talking about the cauldron in the story is like a reference to the Black Sun, and you know, it's so fascinating and so magical, so maybe I can talk about that in another video. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I've never seen the movie The Fisher King, so far as the movie goes, but I have a feeling that there's probably some really interesting things there. I mean, it would be really interesting to read this. I feel like this particular Wikipedia article will lead to, you know, more things to read about this. So really the key of this was the Braun part, but you know what it is that to not believe Satan is to be calling him a liar, and you know, all I can do is be a witness and say that he is not a liar. He is not saying all this. He put his blood over his intent. So if you're thinking he's a liar and that he doesn't have the mythical spear and that this is a joke, then consider that he gave blood his entire life and directed that all at heaven on earth. Okay? And the Creator saw that, and the Creator said, okay, here's the mythical spear of destiny. So he is leading the way. Okay? Whereas before, everyone's souls were in Davy Jones' locker and held by the Vatican. When Satan received the mythical spear of destiny, the books became his. He got the books to follow, to bring everything into fruition the way it was meant to be, according to the Grand Architect. So, this is reality. This is truth. This is the world we're living in. Everything we learned about reality in the past, in school and all these things, it's not how things really are. But there's only one who's leading the way. And he doesn't want your money, your worship, or your advice. You know, so he's leading the way. And all you have to do is lay your blood beside his own. We are a family, blood thicker than water. You just want to write, I intend to bring forth heaven on earth for the benefit of all, and put your blood over top of it and upload it into the ether on YouTube with the tag, title, and description, Blood Over Intent. And that adds your name to the book of life. And you do not want to take money from people or trust anyone in a